It's a wonderful Sunday afternoon here in South Florida. And just want to wish you all a pleasant good afternoon. All those who are listening for the first time, all our first time listeners or watchers, long time supporters like Medi. Yeah, man. Just want to welcome you to this afternoon's episode of Sunday Scoops, and we touch on the work of Beverly's recording studio, one Leslie Kong. And trust me, you'll be pleasantly surprised at the wonderful things that we have in store for you where music is concerned and the big impact that this recording studio had.
You know what I found interesting, God, as we did the research for the program. Um, let the Beverly's Records has not been provided with a kind of um, recognition, if you will, that I believe that they deserve. Because
I think one of the things for that is the overarching impact of the recording artist. So because they have such a big presence, and then because the early untimely passing of the founder Leslie Kong.
no, I not agree with the area, but that is an excuse. It's all like yeah, make an excuse for Babsy Grange and the government people from the two sides. Not only whoever did that on the PNP side, I think politicians are idiot. But a different discussion. The truth be told is they regale Coxon, Joseph Hookim from Channel 1. You hear everybody talk about Channel 1 and talk about Studio 1 and them talk about Duke Reed, Treasure Isle, right? Treasure Isle never have as big an impact, in my opinion, as Beverly's had. Just now that man look on the music in a broad context. Granted, Treasure Isle, was the starting point because of Duke Reed's impact downtown. But to make when you look at the music that first of all, Bob Marley get his wet him whistle at Beverly's and nobody don't talk about that, right? Bob Marley wet him whistle, just start. Jimmy Cliff get him broke him ducks, Beverly's record, right? And in fact it was Jimmy Cliff who pretty much put them into the business of getting started in the music. And not a lot is made of the input that they had in terms of the music's development. And the people out there to we get some feedback in our chat room. Man like Medi, Medi no miss them programming. But what I don't forget get your own feedback as well. Because I believe that to a large extent, when you look at the catalog, one of the biggest hit maker to come out of Jamaica was when name who the Israelites, Desmond Dekker.
Desmond Dekker.
Right.
He was one of the first Jamaican recording artists to actually chart.
The man put a record out there where sell 5-6 million copies. Them time the Bob Marley never have a short pants good yet. Right?
Oh man, the man had on short pants and just never had a hit record yet.
But the point is, Jimmy Cliff out there long, Beverly's out there long time with people like a Jimmy Cliff, Desmond Dekker. I take chances. Derek Morgan, one of the biggest what we call it, argy-bargy between one set of producer and the other.
But let's take a step back, Richie. I jumped too far.
No, but me just want to say,
I understand.
Given the impact
they've been overlooked.
And them don't say nothing about them. And we going to correct that notion today. So.
Yeah man, you sound good. You sound good.
Let's get started. Get the people in Malika.
No, we're not getting no taste.
You're not getting no taste.
No, what we need to establish is the beginning of Beverly's, and then we will put through the first couple of songs that were recorded.
Got you. Well, so it's three brothers was involved with Beverly.
There was Leslie.
Yeah.
There was Cecil.
And
there was Lloyd.
Them called like Fats.
Sometimes people call them Cecil.
Right.
Depends on where in Jamaica you're from.
And I think Cecil or Fats was the one. We got a whole heap of things them do from the shop. The shop was a little downstairs, upstairs building with them have Beverly's ice cream parlor and restaurant, and them sell record And then them do real estate on the building too, right? Real estate
You
office.
know, apart from the advent of supermarkets, Richie, which day you think is the number one selling day for ice cream?
For ice cream on a Sunday.
All right, boss.
On a Sunday.
Yeah, real Jamaica.
Yeah, but they don't know. You saw a little man coming in box of fudgy.
Yes,
and
yes.
them selling fudge by the bicycle back. But so this is where them started from. And Jimmy Cliff, who just come up from country, Jimmy Cliff come for go to school at Kingston Technical School.
Yeah. But what is interesting, before you even get into that, Richie, is to show that apart from the real estate, the restaurant, ice cream parlor, they also sold
record.
because this is where
Downtown.
Orange
the heart
Street,
of Orange Street.
Orange Street,
Right.
which is also known as
Beat Street.
or Music Street.
Music, right.
So we have to set that right, you know, because people have to understand that Orange Street is one of the most legendary streets in Jamaica when it comes to music and the beginning of Jamaican music.
And again, not enough credit again is given. But I guess that's our job. Our job is to address these, misconceptions
And misnomers.
and misnomers. And so this is where Beverly's records was. Now Jimmy Cliff, our James Chambers, as was his name, came to Kingston to stay with some family member down in Hanover Street, around the side there, right? To go to school at Kingston Tech. And he used to walk past the place, the Beverly's place every day. But he also had a desire to get into the music business because, of course, everybody come to town now and realize that town is the place where music drop at
And
town.
one of the quickest ways to get employment without having to go to school
Absolutely, was the
in
music.
business.
And so at this time too, it was the period when the talent shows were going, and so Jimmy figured, well, he can sing, so he started to enter these like a talent contests under with the hope that he would have broke into the thing. I think he went enter. In fact, he called himself Jimmy Cliff to enter one of these talent shows where he sing some Fats Domino tune and it never really gone away. But having gotten a taste, he figured, boy, really need to break into the thing. So I'm gonna pass the record, Beverly's record and ice cream place. And him look up and see the sign and he figure, something, I'll write a tune for them this place. And write a tune called Dearest Beverly. Right? And one evening him come home from school now, just before the place locked. As the man them shut the door and push through him foot through the doorway. And so where you going? He said, I may have a tune for talk to Mr. Chin boy, I know every Chinaman name is Mr. Chin. And the big fat one there lied. Fats. They said, but throw him out of the shop. So Leslie figured, maybe you're him off, he said. And he said, all right, pull out him paper with the tune and him sing Dearest Beverly. And Leslie said, well, I had the song. The voice no sound bad. The voice no sound bad at all. But the tune want a little work, right? And he say, I tell you what, if you can work on this tune, he said, but maybe we can do a thing. So he apparently tell Leslie Kong, say no, Derek Morgan.
Right.
Said, Derek Morgan, you know Derek Morgan. He said, yeah, I know Derek Morgan, come live near me and thing. And he said, well, tell you what, if you can get Derek Morgan to come at my place, right? Make we work out something. Then maybe we can do something with you. So I'm gonna check Derek Morgan and Derek Morgan listen to him argument. And then say, boy, but me write a tune in and I want Mr. Chin to record the tune. So Derek said, carry him down a Greenwich farm where they have some man around there with them little instrument and piano and thing. And them said, them bust up a little rhythm for the tune and said, Derek said, boy, then time there's scat around, That's scat
This is
around the thing.
1961, 62.
Right, and them say, the tune kind of slow, but the tune not bad still. So it's like, all right, and them go back up at Beverly, so and so when we hear the tune there again and go through, and
Long story short,
long story short,
he was signed Derek Morgan became part of Beverly's, and this is the song that was first recorded with another song called One Eye Jack. So here is Dearest Beverly, Jimmy Cliff's first outing. Yeah, man, the outing of Jimmy Cliff's first two recordings, Dearest Beverly and One Eye Jacks.
Yeah, boy, you really go down at the back, at the real down in the cellar you go for find that tune, the One Eye Jack. I haven't heard that. To be honest with you, I never heard it. I've heard about it, but never heard it play. So
Is that nice? Again, that nice sketch one.
Yeah, man, nice and catchy. Again, people don't play these tunes. So again, you're starving the listener.
If you don't know, you won't play it.
There you go. But this basically brought the Kongs, or Leslie Kong, who became basically the front man for the operation, into the Jamaica music business. And one of the things that had been a feature of the early development of the music business too, because at the time you would have had Coxsone and Duke Reid basically battling it out between themselves.
And then of course you had
the
dynamic sounds and
but
Prince
Buster came in, right? Yeah. And these guys came in largely as producers. With your Chinaman too.
Baron Lee.
No, when name man Bonnie Lee.
Okay.
Bonnie Lee was still, trying him hand at becoming a producer as well. And so those are the things. But the big three at the time would have been Buster, Coxsone, Duke Reid, and then Prince Buster would come in. Derek Morgan used to sing for Prince Buster. And what Derek's position was, he's not getting any money, which was interesting because Prince Buster started his record label as a result of some bad experiences he had with Coxsone. Coxsone wasn't paying money according to Prince Buster, and so he went into the business of record production to basically raise the levels up, but it ended up that him start to do the same thing. So clearly, people like Prince Buster, Derek Morgan, who get fed up with Prince Buster because the same thing. So when Leslie Kong established the Beverly's label, he decided to go sing with it because and one of the things too is that Leslie Kong was paying more money, and artists never had any problems when them do them work that them get them money, and that was a big drawing card for Beverly's at the time. Of course, having artists like Derek Morgan in him stable, him have Jimmy Cliff now, who by now is the door is wide open, and Jimmy Cliff decided to, Leslie decided to use Jimmy Cliff, who seemed to have known him, know him way around town, so to speak, know some of the upcoming singers, and it was him who reached out to Bob Marley. In fact, Marley apparently had always wanted to go record on his own. And
I see Mikey B made a comment in the chat room, Richie.
Yeah.
The average person in Jamaica, unless they were a record buyer, weren't made aware of labels and label owners. Radio barely mentioned the singer, much less musicians or producers. And it was the success of certain artists who brought attention in the later days to labels as journalists.
Which was your point as well. I know that's the point you were thinking, but I wanted to hammer it home so we maintain the interest, because and Mikey is right. The emphasis was on the record itself.
And that's one of the big drawbacks about Jamaican music, is that people are not even getting a chance to understand the genius of the people behind the music. We focus on the singer and we focus on the producer and or the label, but we're not looking at the Hux Browns and the Drum Bagos and the Count Ozzy and and the different artists musicians who really made the music, because most of the time the producer is just there to direct what is happening in the studio. But ultimately, the creativity and the direction that the music goes relies on the musician. And nobody set out to say, okay, we're going to create a genre called reggae and this is how it's going to be played. That never happened. Even though at the time I was at 1962, I wasn't even thought of it. My mother was just 12 or 13-year old. But the fact is that the music just evolved as what word may I look for now? Just transitions, interpretations, evolution, different feel, different vibe, different influences from ska, rocksteady, merengue, salsa, all the different confluences that come together to make Jamaican music.
And that understandable too, because Dennis Howard, who was with us a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to give him title, Dr. Dennis Howard, made the same point that at the juncture where the music was coming together, it was being influenced by the sounds the Jamaicans were getting from all over the world. You still had your African beats infusion coming in as well. You're getting the sound from the southern Caribbean.
You calypso,
right.
All different things.
And so, but I wanted you to...
The most important thing now is Jimmy Cliff bringing a young Bob Marley.
But before him even do that, Hurricane Hattie was one of the pieces that he had recorded.
1962 was a very big year for Beverly's because it not only brought Derek and Jimmy Cliff to Beverly's, it also brought the Wailers. It also brought Desmond Decker, who came around the middle part of the 60s, 67 and such. However, they even did recording with Higgs and Wilson. But as I said, Richie, the hits in 1962, Beverly's experienced 4 hits, and we're going to play them before we go to the first break. We have 4 minutes left for the break. Hurricane Hattie, Miss Jamaica. Those are Jimmy Cliff's 2 big hits. And then Derek Morgan with Forward March, Jamaica Getting Independent. And Derek and Patsy did a song called Housewife's Choice. Alright, so, and then later on, now a little bit later on, when time ska was in its heat, Jimmy Cliff got a very big hit too called King of Kings. But let us give you these 4 songs: Hurricane Hattie, Miss Jamaica, Housewife's Choice, and Forward March. To the Forward March first and then Housewife's Choice. Oh yes, I love you. How much I love you. And that was Derek Morgan with Housewife's Choice, Derek and Patsy. And the original name for that song was, Richie?
I think it's called Hush Darling. There's a story behind that. The song was actually rechristened Housewife's Choice by a radio announcer at RJR, who Marie Gart, I think was her name. She had a daytime talk show program kind of thing, going back. So far this talking thing come from. And she said people would call in and ask her to play this song. And most of them were either housewives, because they at home and do them housework and them just love the song. And so she basically rechristened the song as Housewife's Choice. And by extension, Derek Morgan re-released the record as Housewife's Choice again. Yeah. So it just show you the kind of influence that these artists were having on the listening landscape, if you will. And it also pointed out to that, because RJR, Marie Gart was at RJR, and this was RJR kind of veering away from the norm, where they would only play foreign tune, right? And so for them to, getting this, the kind of requests, the frequency of the requests was kind of driving the demand for the song. And of course, again, to Leslie Kong's credit, because he had also by now connected with Chris Blackwell, right? And Blackwell, using his British connections, took the step to take a lot of these early tunes into the United Kingdom market.
But not only did he hook up with Ireland.
Right.
But what he did, he bought shares in Ireland. He and another guy called Graham Goodall.
Graham Goodall, the
And,
Australian.
Yeah, and because a lot of people don't realize that most of the engineering for the music, for in recording studios, because when you really think about it, people who never looked at a engineering board, mixing board, reverb, whatever it is, to put together a studio, a lot of people don't realize that Graham Goodall was the man behind the whole engineering aspect of recording studios. And he was a part of the Island Record, before it was the Island Record Group. Now Chris Blackwell, so Leslie Kong had the foresight to buy shares in Ireland.
Well, before you even talk about Leslie, Blackwell had the foresight to see the potential of the music, to and use it as the opportunity to establish his Island Records label, and again to carry the argument about that foresight for these guys to see the value and put their investment in. Mikey made that point. Read that. God, they said
most of the major producers were sound system operators, and lots of the top musicians played in dance bands, thus providing valuable feedback as to what type of songs people like to dance, thus influencing their products. Because most of these big orchestral bands too regurgitated American big band songs, which at the time was the craze, because again, that's where the influence is coming from. The 1940s, was Glenn Miller and the big band and all of these other R&B artists. Now, while that was happening and Leslie Kong was making headway into the European market or into the British market, again because of the large population of diaspora, people in the Jamaicans in the diaspora, so to speak, there was another thing happening, and that was the ire.
Hold on. I want to add something to that point, which is very significant, because the first major transfer of Jamaicans to London came in 1948 with the Windrush boat, the Empire Windrush. The war finished, and they were looking for people from the colonies to come back to help rebuild the Britain after the war. And so they had this bands of 499 Jamaicans made that first voyage. And so one of the things that happened when they landed in Britain, they found a society that had no preparation for them. So there was no opportunity for entertainment, no nothing. And so they decided, as others joined them, they were bringing pieces of the culture in. Mikey made a point about the sound system. The same sound system that had become the rave within the Jamaican entertainment landscape. Poor people entertainment, because that's what a sound system is.
Not everybody had the money to go to a glass bucket
absolutely.
and all these places.
Or
to listen to
beach club.
To this orchestra,
right,
and everything. So you create your own thing with records, which was brought in from the United States
and so
elsewhere.
These guys took the opportunity to to set up their own operations over there in England, and created this demand now for music from yard, and that opened the gate for what became a regular distribution channel, if you will, and other producers, because Prince Buster joined the thing eventually, Bonnie Lee, all of them. But our focus here, Leslie Kong, and so this is where it was going.
So whilst headway is being made in creating that partnership to get music out of Jamaica, another little thing was going on. The movement of Derek Morgan from Voice of the People, Prince Buster, drew Prince Buster's ire, and so therefore started a little war between Derek Morgan and
Prince Buster.
And one of the songs, the first songs that was recorded. So you see, a long time this clash thing ago, and people think the clash was just yesterday. It's a long time this clash thing going on, and the first thing after Prince Buster passed his remarks.
No, hold on. We should, but you need to play the Prince Buster song.
No, we're not
yes,
going to play it. This is not about Prince Buster. It's about Beverly.
No, listen, to give the value to the war, you have to, if it even like a taste of the Prince Buster tune, you have to play that. Right?
Ah, boy, I tell you.
The listeners, them think we can.
But them know the tune already.
No, we're not going to presume that. We want to. The school we call in there, you have a whole heap of man out there with them book and pencil and make notes and all of that. Right?
Alright, so Prince Buster wrote a song called Blackhead Chinaman,
right,
accusing Derek Morgan
as a sellout.
Of being a sellout.
Yeah.
So this is Prince Buster. Alright, so that was Prince Buster's Blackhead Chinaman, and let me tell you something. Derek Morgan responded with a song called Blazing Fire. Now, one of the things that, unless, I don't know if you've listened to this song before, but now you're going to hear it with different ears, is that Derek Morgan started out Blazing Fire speaking
Chinese.
Mandarin.
Yeah.
Yes, and that was Be Still, I Am Your Superior.
Listen, as a quintessential, what we call war, sound system war that, because you imagine.
But this is a war of the studios, or
war
war of the artists.
But you imagine you go a dance now and the selector throw down one of them tune up on the turntable, right? And
Still, I Am Your Superior.
And then the next sound system man goes a bomb and fire. And the original clash, the original clash. But in the course of this though, Derek Morgan became a mainstay at Beverly's. In fact, he basically was supervising the
as a matter of fact, you could probably even say he became the
producer.
producer.
Well, he was a producer because he Kong gave him that license.
But even though he was a producer, Leslie, sit down in the background.
Yeah,
and if you never
like it, it's not a record.
Not a record. But
right.
Trust me, a lot of things happening. And Jimmy Cliff also brought a young gentleman with Tony C. Ritchie at the time, before the Wailers became anything like the Wailers, and they brought a young
Robert, what do you call him?
Robert.
Nesta Marley.
Actually, his name was Nesta
Robert
Marley.
Right.
But he may also have another name. What was it? Bobby Martel?
No, it was Leslie Khan called him Bobby Martel.
Okay.
Because which was a thing. It was a thing. The producer them love change people's name and all.
Well, guess what? Sometime like James Chambers became Jimmy Cliff.
Well, and it stayed at Jimmy Cliff.
It's like with what's his name? Michael Keaton. Mm-hmm. Michael Keaton's last name is Douglas. But you couldn't have two Michael Douglas in the movie business. So he changed his name to him, just looking at him in the phone book and chose a random name. And then now for the last Beetlejuice movie, him come out with him full name. It was Michael Douglas Keaton. So little bit of US trivia, even though I have none for the Jamaican music. Yeah, but changing the names can change your fortune. So that is one of the things. So young Bob Marley came and he recorded 2 songs with Beverly's, and one of them was Judge Not, and the other one was One Cup of Coffee. You will see this song under the name of Wailers, but this is
it was a
solo
artist,
Bob Marley solo artist effort.